Welcome to the show. It is a new year, and I want to talk just a little bit about my plan for 2020, not specifically about election coverage. We'll talk about that later, but a little more generally about what's going on in American political society. One of the goals that I have for 2020 for the show is to do everything I can to reverse the hypernormalization of radical unhinged behavior and actions. And it's been really tough. I mean, we've talked about this before and sometimes people will call in about it. We've experienced, all of us, a sort of desensitization and normalization under Donald Trump, where every norm, countless ethics rules, the way we talk about politics, the way we do diplomacy, the way we interact with other world leaders and countries, it's all gone out the window. And between the scandal fatigue and being desensitized, we all, to a degree, start to see crazy stuff as less crazy than we would have in years past or even 6 months ago. So today I want to talk about just a real issue, and I want to do it carefully. And that issue is, how do more people not care that the President of the United States is mentally unwell, or we can use the term mentally ill? And I want to be careful. I don't want to stigmatize mental illness because it doesn't deserve to be stigmatized. I don't want to laugh at mental illness because it's not a laughing matter, nor do I want to conflate things that shouldn't be conflated. So, for example, being ignorant about politics and economics, as our president is not mental illness. It's not mental instability. It's two different things. Being a cheater in relationships and golf and business is not mental illness. Being an immoral person is not mental illness. Lacking empathy is not mental illness. But these things can be connected to mental illness. And the fact that too many people seem uninterested in recognizing that Donald Trump is mentally unwell is a very bad sign for society. There's a recent piece in Salon that I encourage you to read by Chauncey DeVega, where Chauncey says 6 societies normalize the aberrant and abhorrent behavior of their leaders and other elites. That behavior, in turn, becomes a pathology of sorts, which infects the general public. This has infected Trumpists, many of them, not all. Some of them have ulterior motives. We are hearing regularly from the mental health community more and more about this man who is in charge of the country. We've heard from psychiatry professor Dr. John Gartner on the program multiple times, who told us the various conditions that Donald Trump may have. These are not jokes. This is not making fun. This is not being hyperbolic. This is a red alert. We have a mentally ill president. Psychiatry professor Dr. Bandy Lee from Yale said recently that Nancy Pelosi could have Donald Trump involuntarily evaluated because he may be a threat to public safety. Now, whether she actually can do it or not, and whether Trump would submit to that, it's unlikely. But this is an argument that another mental health professional is making. And immediately, Bandy Lee was excoriated by the Trumpist right. How dare we inquire about the mental health of the president? We then have psychiatrist Justin Frank, who says Trump is terrified, angry, and extremely dangerous, and that conflict, quote, gives him life. There have been other leading mental health professionals who have described Donald Trump as psychotic. Now, psychotic, we've got to be careful with this stuff. Psychotic is often used colloquially in society to mean a wacky or eccentric or quirky person. Mental health professionals are using the term medically. Psychosis is a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with external reality. That is in line with much of what the people around Donald Trump have been reporting is going on. Chauncey DeVega goes on to write in his Salon piece that we are seeing now something that relates to what philosopher Henry Giroux described as a disimagination machine. This is a really important concept. The disimagination machine is the apparatus that includes images, institutions, discourse, media, political movements, parties. It prevents people from properly bearing witness to phenomena and to remembering those phenomena in a way that applies critical thinking and a critique. It prevents people from being critically informed. Even the ways in which we are talking about Donald Trump's behavior sort of is doing this. I'll give you an example. When we say Trump's behavior is unreal, there's an implied meaning, which is we mean that it's outrageous behavior, we mean that it's unacceptable behavior, that it has to be stopped. But when we use the word unreal, it also implies it's not real. It's not really happening the way that it appears to be. And Donald Trump has pushed this. Remember, Donald Trump said, what you are seeing and reading is not actually happening. It's not actually real. So Chauncey DeVega's conclusion is that when we talk about is fascism coming, is totalitarianism coming, whatever, we won't know it because it will become the new normal very slowly. Just like having a mentally ill president increasingly has become the norm. Many Republicans don't care because they've got their judges in, they're getting their nominations installed, they're getting stuff done while the focus is on Donald Trump. They just pretend that Donald Trump is okay. But for too many people, they have actually fallen into this normalization. 2020 is going to be a real test for the country. I'm going to try to do my part, better said, to avoid the continued normalization of what is mentally ill behavior without conflating that with just an ignorant president, with an immoral president, with an unethical president. These are different issues. We are not going to stigmatize mental illness, but at a certain point, when this number of mental health professionals are sounding the alarm, and half the country seems not to care or simply to refuse to see reality, it is starting to infect the country exactly the way that Chauncey DeVega writes in Salon. We're going to link to that piece in the description for the YouTube clip for this story, and I want to hear from you about this. I want to tell you about a really great YouTube channel we're partnering with. It's called Upflip TV, and they've just recently launched. They have some excellent content for anybody interested in business and entrepreneurship. Check them out at davidpakman.com/flip. That's FLIP. That'll redirect you to their YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe while you're there. It is a YouTube channel that I'd recommend to anyone in the David Pakman Show audience who owns a business, runs a business, is thinking about starting a business, or even if you just like learning new things about how business works. They interview successful entrepreneurs, business owners, giving them a place to tell their stories and share strategies so viewers can benefit from their insight and apply their wisdom to your own businesses. All of the content is about educating and inspiring people. In each video, Upflip TV showcases a different type of startup. It could be a coffee shop or a landscaping business or a real estate agency. You'll see how the business was often started from scratch, what a workday looks like, how to become and remain successful in that business. And they don't just interview people, they actually examine each business from inside out in a really unique way that distills the valuable lessons that you can take from their stories. I find the content fascinating. They're friends of the David Pakman Show. I would love it if you would go and support their new YouTube channel and what they're doing. I think you'll very quickly become a fan. Like I said, get there by going to davidpakman.com/flip. That's FLIP. And make sure to subscribe to their channel when you're there.